All right. So now what is it your girl's recording? Let's go ahead. Let's jump into this next damn reaction, shall we? Charlie, shout outs to you. And yes, we are here to talk about this because this has been raving for the past 24 hours. Jay-Z and P. Diddy. And why this is becoming such a big thing, a sensation, and why it's being talked about. All of that, we're about to go ahead and talk about it. Because the Gen Z and, the younger generation are figuring out the levels of who these people were. And millennials like me grew up with their music being played on the radio, TV, all of that stuff. So without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's jump into the video.
Against P. Diddy, the baby oil billionaire, one of the most vile individuals in music industry history, has been getting more and more horrible things about it coming to light. It would take hours to go over every crime he's accused of. It is a list that goes on and on, filled with the most awful, unimaginable things possible. It would be easier to talk about crimes he isn't accused of committing. Like, he probably started dying and dashing just for the sake of adding more crimes to his resume. And today we received some new information with one of the many celebrities that associated with P. Diddy over the years, Jay-Z, who is now accused in a civil lawsuit of raping a 13-year-old at an after party with P. Diddy and an unnamed female celebrity who was there watching.
Since Combs was indicted by federal prosecutors last fall, these parties he was known for hosting and what celebrities may have attended has been the subject of intense scrutiny. But the blast radius around the star had been relatively contained until now.
The P. Diddy party list is a lot like the Epstein list in terms of rich and powerful people that attended them. And a lot of people, myself included, have wondered if these names will ever even see the light of day because they have the means of burying it potentially. But luckily, that doesn't seem to be the case here now that Jay-Z has been named. But they should all be named, and hopefully they will over the course of this case. Make like a game of guess who and name them. Because the shit that happened at these parties is terrible, horrible, just deplorable shit. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we learned that P. Diddy threw a party where they dug up Jeffrey Dahmer's corpse and paraded around Weekend at Bernie's style or something. Like, the things that have reportedly happened there are things that everyone associated needs to face consequences for. And now Jay-Z is the first one that has been named.
The anonymous woman, who was 13 at the time, described in the lawsuit as being drugged and raped at an MTV VMAs after party she says Combs hosted in 2000. According to the suit, she recalls accepting a drink from a waitress that made her feel woozy and lightheaded before she says she was raped by Jay-Z and then Combs in a bedroom as an unnamed female celebrity watched.
There's a lot of people that have been running defense kind of
this is not good. This is not good. We've had this conversation about with Diddy, and reacting to all of the things about with him. And I've said this, that the other people are going to come to light about who was there at these parties, who was associated. I'm still looking at J-Lo differently. What's up, Mango? Happy 4 months.
Hi, Ori W. 4 months.
Hell yeah. I still look at J-Lo with the side eye. Like, yes, I'm glad it is that you donated over to the Palestine cause, but I need you to go ahead and also to put that same level to what it is you did for the country. To also put that towards a woman that who got shot in point blank, and you had the gun in your purse, allegedly. I gotta say allegedly, so it is. I don't get sued. I need that as well. Jay-Z has been around for a very long time. You know, a very, very, very long time. He started rapping like within the 90s anyway. So I'm very familiar to who Jay-Z was. I remember Jay-Z when he used to rap fast, like in the 90s. Like, if you can able to rap like that, that was considered you really spitting for real. And to be honest with you, it is an art to kind of rap that fast, you know. Twister and a couple other rappers that could able to rap within that speed and not like fumble on words and stuff like that. That is an art to do. But Jay-Z's no stranger when it comes down to all of the controversy, conspiracies it is that's been surrounding about him. Since I mean, as long it's been over like 30 something years. It is that there was something that was either mentioned about with Jay Z. Now, I had a feeling with all of this stuff. Now, mind you, the trial has not. Oh yeah, Bone Thugs as well. Yeah, yeah. Um, this trial for Diddy does not start until as of May of 2025. So we still have months to go for, prosecutors to get all the level of evidence it is they could possibly find. And this is not even just about with the trafficking and stuff. We're talking about things of like even murder, coercing people, all of that stuff. It is like, setting up things to be putting on fire, that blowing things up. Those are like his bail has gotten denied 3 times already. He is not coming out at this point. Like they are looking at him as a flight risk. Now Jay-Z has not been arrested for anything, but this is not the first time it is that like it's been questioned or people or police going up to him or his his residence and trying to find some information and stuff. This isn't the first time. So to see this is you're right. It's alleged. It's alleged, but it's still bad they're being talked about.
It's gonna get worse for them.
I think it's gonna get worse for a lot of people. It is that was associated with Diddy. It's not gonna be just Jay-Z. It's gonna be everybody it is that was at those parties. Everybody. And I can't even sit there and say just rappers. I gotta say it is the TV talk hosts. You gotta put that in the mix too. Journalists and celebrities, actors, actresses, R&B singers, rappers. It's the list is going to get worse. It's going to get worse at this point because of the level of association. Hell, there may be even some authorities that may be involved who allowed this man to slide for all of these levels of years. You know what I mean? When you're at that level of like celebrity status, you got the money, you can able to go ahead and pay off a couple people. You can go ahead and have conversations with like law enforcement, and as long as it is that you're that you're cooperating with these said people, judges, attorneys, all that, they're not exempt from doing heinous acts neither. Nobody is at this point. So this is going to get far more worse along the way, but let's proceed forward.
Just playing like the pseudo PR department for celebrities that have attended P. Diddy's parties but are innocent of any wrongdoing, saying things like, yeah, they may have attended a party, hootenanny or two of P. Diddy's, but they didn't know anything was bad there. They didn't know there were any kids there or any victims of sex trafficking. They just went to a party. They had no clue. And I feel like that's a load of fucking horseradish, because you would know that that is a child. That is a 13-year-old. That is a toddler. They just stopped believing in Santa Claus. There's no way you wouldn't know that there were kids there if there's 13-year-olds running around.
Yeah.
That's craziness. And that wouldn't be a huge red flag to any of these celebrities. Like, it's not normal to have a 13-year-old at a fucking VMA after party. And a 13-year-old being served a drink, like that waitress would know they just served a drink to a child. Even if the waitress didn't know that it was spiked, why are you serving a 13-year-old kid alcohol? This is why I think everyone that attended these parties is very likely guilty of some heinous shit. So this 13-year-old was allegedly served the spiked drink that made her feel woozy and was then raped by Jay-Z and then P. Diddy, and apparently an unnamed female celebrity was watching. I'm pretty surprised they didn't name the female celebrity here. I don't really understand why. Maybe that's for like a different case coming up.
And at this point in time, it is like I doubt that they're gonna name that as of right now, because the originally I believe this case had like a Jan Doe, just to kind of keep things like under wraps and whatnot. Like I guess that they wanted their identity to be private. But we gotta ask this question in chat. Are people it is who witness heinous acts, are they also guilty by association? We gotta really ask that question. Like that's the question that very much needs to be asked. If people are to witness things of injustice, things it is that like that is going on that you know is wrong, should they also be held accountable for the actions of the wrongdoer? That's a serious question. It is that that now you're thinking morals, and the morals that comes down to play. Because in my mind, I'm trying to figure out is how is it that these younger kids is even going to parties like this anyway. But then I gotta realize that for one, Diddy had Usher underneath his wing when Usher was a teen. Justin Bieber is another example of a teen that was exposed to things it is that like by adults. And kids don't come out the yin yang and just doing heinous acts like that. That is the things it is that are taught. They're usually taught by a family member or they're taught by somebody it is that's supposed to be the guardian, that's supposed to be protecting them, that's supposed to be, looking out for them. And then you're setting them up for failure by going ahead and putting them in these adult content types of settings. And these are all issues at this point. So it's a very chilling question to ask.
I don't really understand why. Maybe that's for like a different case coming up.
Jay-Z swiftly issuing a statement Sunday calling the claims heinous and accusing the woman's attorney of trying to blackmail him, suggesting the attorney had tried to seek a settlement first, adding, quote, "I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. My heart and support goes out to the true victims in the world." The couple will have to explain the, quote, cruelty and greed of people to their children. Combs, too, has denied any allegations of sexual assault.
Jay-Z is strongly denying these claims, and one thing that's important to note here is that the lawyer, Tony Busby, he's not squeaky clean. This is no saint here. He's got some dirty laundry of his own. He actually did get sued not too long ago for an alleged assault on a former client.
Golly. Attorney represented more than 120 alleged Diddy victims. Former client sued. He attacked her in a fit of rage, denied all allegations. Yikes. Yikes, that's not good. That's not good.
And then got sued again for extortion, where a celebrity and their team have accused Tony Busby of throwing out wildly false, horrific allegations, fabricated allegations of sexual assault, and has a pattern of leveling baseless and fabricated malicious allegations at high-profile individuals and threatening to name them publicly if they fail to pay exorbitant sums of money. So fundamentally what they're claiming is that Tony Busby indulges in rumor to leverage bad headlines and bad press for celebrities, so that way they will just settle out of court with him. Now, it's very possible that that extortion lawsuit is from a celebrity who has attended these Diddy parties and is panicking, trying to cover their own ass by trying to assassinate Tony Busby's character. That's possible too. There's no way of knowing for sure right now. I just thought it was worth mentioning that Tony Busby does have a little poop on his butt. But that doesn't mean, and there's no evidence to suggest, that he or the victims he represents are lying about their allegations. This case has just begun. It's the first one that has named another celebrity outside of P. Diddy, so we'll see as the facts continue to come out. Right now, there's no evidence to suggest that this is all made up, and there's also no evidence to confirm any of the allegations, because it's still just too early into this case.
Yeah.
So I'll keep my finger on the pulse of it. I'm sure this will be a very big case that'll be talked about a lot. And I do want to just say, even if it turns out that this case isn't real against Jay-Z, I still don't believe Jay-Z is innocent of, like, wrongdoing. He was so...
Damn. Well, I know there's a couple of barbs that is just like, yeah, I knew it. I know there's a couple of barbs that is just like, what's up, Jester? I just know it is that there's a couple of communities out there that's just like, yup, we been new. Nikki tried to tell you. Nikki tried to say it, but nah, she's the crazy coked out lady. Yeah, remember this, and this. Like there has been a lot of there's been a lot of stuff that has been mentioned about with Jay Z. Like I said in the beginning of the video, is we've known about with Jay Z for years. This is going on 30 years at this point. It is that he's been in the game, but do I feel like it is that he's squeaky clean? No, I don't. I don't. I really don't. And the Jimmy, what's up, Jimmy? And the age of when it is that he met Beyonce and dated her, the age I'm looking back at these interviews. It is that was talked about, like either like on TRL or like in magazines, allegedly. The age is just starting to look a little skewed. It's just like, oh, I met her when she was 17. We didn't date until she was 18. Beyonce said within a magazine, allegedly, that it was 19 when it is that they dated. At this point in time, it's just like something ain't right at this point. And I've mentioned this before of how there are artists that are out there that have gotten legal guardianship of artists and then they end up dating. Another one for it is the people that watch like Love and Hip Hop, Rashida and her husband. Like Rashida was a teenager when it is that she met Kirk, and her mama signed off on the damn legal guardianship. So legally it is she was underneath his wing. We're seeing this. I showed y'all about the video about with Prince. Prince was in not only messing with 3 different women at the same time, but proposed to 3 different women. It wasn't until it is the one that I forgot her name, it starts with M, that got up to 18. I mean, damn, one of the girls was Carmen Electra in the early days. I mean, like, and he went with the one that is that just freshly turned 18, got married, and the whole thing about with their first son, like, yes, like those type of things. I don't think it is. We are never gonna get a Prince biopic. I don't think we're ever gonna get a Prince biopic because of the crazy stuff it is that I learned about with Prince. But at this point, like things is getting weird. It's getting weird. It's getting to a point to where it's just like, yo, what? I'll show y'all the proofs after this. Trust me. The shit gets weird, gang. But man, this been one hell of a year.
So close with P. Diddy for so many years, there is no fucking way. There is no chance on God's green earth that Jay-Z didn't know about the horrible shit that P. Diddy was doing. Because
this is another thing that I'm gonna say as well, is that you gotta be very mindful of the people it is that's around you. You gotta hold, like, listen, I don't care what anybody say. You can act like it is that you don't know. You can act like it is that you don't know about what somebody's doing, but then after a while if something's gonna get brought up. And then you're gonna have to pull them to the side and be like, nigga, what the fuck is you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? This is where it is the level of accountability really comes into play. Because now you gotta ask the questions on just like, yo, what you're doing is something I cannot condone. As a friend, I'm telling you this as a friend, gang. I'm trying to keep it in like this with you, but I gotta be honest with you as a friend. Like what you doing, I can't rock with. It's either is that or you're doing the same act as what your friend is doing. I know my parents like to say birds of a feather flock together, but in some degree it is that is very much accurate. You become friends with people for a reason. And sometimes this is like usually there's a common denominator in there somewhere, and it's just like, I don't know if it is like the victim wants to stay anonymous. It's simply saying that it looks like it's for clout. I wouldn't say for clout. I'm honestly going to say at this point, what's up, Abrasive? I'm gonna say at this point it is that. Is there something it is like, this is Jay-Z we're talking about. I can't sit there and say it is like, I don't know Jay-Z personally, but based off of the conspiracies it is that I've always heard about Jay-Z, I can't sit there and say it is that he's like Is he innocent? Is he really innocent? Is he really out here doing these things? We don't know that. We can't. Like, there's no real evidence to like go ahead and prove that either or. We can just go based off of like speculation, conspiracy, and that's about it at this point. But I don't think, to me, I don't think it's clout. I think it's more so. It's just all it takes. I want this to be very clear. It all takes just one person to speak up, and then it's a domino effect. That could be with anybody. That could be with any fucking body. Sometimes it is like when you get to that level of being high up within status, within money, you can buy your way out of things. You can coerce people your way out of situation. It's those levels of things, and it makes victims that things that really happen to them not want to speak up, because now you got to think about like, what happens if it is I speak out? What happens it is like, for my safety? What if people don't want to believe me? What if people say it is that I'm just doing this because it is I want something out of this at this point? Like, yes, I do believe it is there needs to be a criminal case a criminal case filed, but a civil case, cool. I like Jay-Z's not gonna get indicted for like crimes and stuff like that because it's a civil suit. You got to go with a criminal suit. So that's one thing in this I can't say it is boom. There's that. But I said, well, she spoke out, but stayed anonymous. At this point in time, it's like the how high profile. Imagine going up against somebody that's so damn high profile that has a level of money, attorneys, and all this other shit. Even though the attorneys was out here doing bullshit, there's still so many things that is you got to think about of like, even if it is there's things, even if they happen to you or if they didn't happen to you, now you got to think about it is who you're going up against. That's the scariest part about it all. It's like, damn, like, what if people don't believe me? What if people this and that? A prime example, Miss Nicki Minaj's husband's victim. The shit that came back back on social media. They did a little bit of investigation on Kenneth Petty's background, and then they was harassing this woman. They was coercing her, using money to say, I want you to change the story and everything like that. You don't know what it is you're going up against somebody that is high profile like that at this rate. So that I can understand why people don't want to speak up. Even just a regular person who has been a victim of something. Like a lot of times it is that people don't even want to speak up about certain things it is that they've gone through because it's like, it's now you got to deal with like, oh, are people going to look at you differently? Are people going to believe you? Are people not going to believe you? Or are people going to be like, oh, you're just doing this for attention. You're doing this for a clout. It's so, and this is why I strive so hard at this when it comes down to like working with victims, because I've worked with a lot of victims and at Planned Parenthood. It is very hard. It is very hard. It's very emotional. It's traumatic for a victim to speak out about their story. So if this is real, this is going to be huge. This is going to be a disaster for one, because now that's just like all those people it is that was high up that thought that they was untouchable. Now it is that they getting looked at and they getting charged with a couple of things here and there. That's going to change everything moving forward. What's up, Jedi?
These parties, like, it was all right in their faces. It wasn't a secret per se. Like, the celebrities that attended knew that there was some foul, fishy shit going on there. If you had kids running around at parties, and even if this 13-year-old that Tony Busby's representing turns out like never even went to a P. Diddy party or something, there still are tons and tons of other cases with overwhelming amounts of evidence to suggest that there were kids at these P. Diddy parties. And celebrities, I think, would know what a kid looks like versus an adult. So I just don't think someone as close to P. Diddy as Jay-Z was would possibly be squeaky clean here. Like, they would know about a lot of these crimes. Even if he didn't directly participate in them, I think him knowing about it and refusing to do anything is still extremely fucking horrible too. But again, this case has just come out, so we'll learn about whether or not these claims are true as it develops.
Now, in a statement posted online, Busby, the lawyer, acknowledged sending Jay-Z a letter prior to filing this complaint, prior to this whole thing, seeking a confidential mediation, but says his client never demanded a penny from Jay-Z. At the time, she is now seeking an unspecified amount in damages, guys.
Jay-Z did post a lengthy response, basically saying Tony is an ambulance chaser that's attempting to blackmail him and extort him for money, using some absolutely horrific allegations to try and have him cave in and settle and just pay a bunch of money based on nothing at all. And Tony Busby then responded saying that it's not blackmail at all, and says, Mr. Carter previously denied being the one who sued me and my firm. He even filed this frivolous case under a pseudonym. And then he confirms that he did send a letter prior to this lawsuit, but it was looking for confidential mediation and never demanded a single penny from Jay-Z. Now, I haven't passed the bar. I barely passed my fucking SATs, so I'm not going to pretend to understand how lawsuits work, but what I do know is that in a civil lawsuit, Jay-Z is not necessarily going to go to jail if it turns out all of this is true and he's found guilty on all counts of this lawsuit. It would then go to paying out an unspecified amount of damages, as the news segment covered there. Yeah. So I don't understand the sending a letter for confidential mediation and exactly what that entails. I really don't get the whole scope of it. All I know is that this is the first celebrity outside of P. Diddy that has now been accused of horrible things at P. Diddy's parties. And I think that this will be the first of many. Again, I think so too. Really feel there is a huge number of celebrities that either participated in or knew about a lot of the illegal, horrible, vile shit that was happening with P. Diddy and his parties. And I guess we'll see if Jay-Z is one of those celebrities that knew or participated soon enough. Like, this case just started, so we'll see what happens. That's really about it. See ya.
Well, it is very early, y'all. It is very early into the case, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen moving forward. But yes, like the more it is that this will come about, the more that we'll talk about this. We'll have our conversations and everything moving forward with it. But Charlie, shout outs to you. Thank you so much for the video. Shout outs to y'all in the chat. Shout outs to you at home. And I'll catch y'all in the next video.